Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast, Good Body, Good Brain. I'm Dr. Sally. I'm going to be your host today. And oh boy, are we going to have some fun because today we have Michelle Howe going to be with us. She is the founder of Empath Evolution, and she's going to talk about how we can change some negativity into positivity and ways that we can make our life elevated to feel better and have other people around us also feel better. So I'm really excited that she's here today. I'm going to turn this music down just a little bit and then we'll get started. So hello.
Hi, Sally.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And we've had several conversations and we can roll in like maybe 100 subjects.
Yeah.
But today we're going to kind of dabble around with what's going on in the world, what's going on in our insides, and what's going on around us.
Right.
So what are you seeing?
What am I seeing? I don't know about you, but I'm seeing that it is sometimes challenging to live our lives and to feel joyful and to be uplifted and to move through things that are challenging, whether they're for us or for us witnessing what's happening in other people or in the community. So I created a training. I wanted people to move into a better place, to elevate, to move beyond the negativity and the drama that is pervasive, really. It's around us. And some of the stuff is actually within us because we are part of this environment, right? So our job is to try to notice, to move from self-care to self-aware to self-empowerment. And then we really are able to impact our lives and the lives of the people around us because we'll be navigating things from a different vantage point with a different awareness. And I don't like to focus on what's not working, but I think we need to see the landscape, what's going on in order for us to get a strategy together. Who are we? How do we step forward?
Yes. And how do we sort of teach people or bring them along of like not knowing what they don't know? That's the biggie.
Right. How do we open up and bring awareness to more than what is critical and vital in our lives? We wake up, we might be mothers, we have jobs, we have a house, we have responsibilities, right? How do we take time to really savor and be who we are when there's so much pulling at us from every direction and maybe even expecting from us? Society tells us we must do X, Y, and Z. Being a good person means X, Y, and Z. Now, I would hate to say no to something because then someone might be upset with me, right? How do we set up ourselves so that we're taking direction from what serves us, from what's empowering, from what really resonates within us? Where do we belong? What are we here to do? Not here's the daily grind every day, go along with the daily grind every day. And then before you know it, a whole lifetime is lived doing a daily grind every day.
Yeah, the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think for women, there's a extra component because we're trained from being little to sort of serve other people, and we forget to serve ourselves, and we aren't taught that at a younger age. So you cannot pour from an empty cup. So we have to learn to fill our cups up before we can really be the best servants that we want to be. And there's a balance there. Like, yes, everyone wants from us, yeah, give me more. But there's a time when you have to say, hey, I've got to listen to this. That
This
means
needs
I have to take a little break.
this needs some attention. Whether you want to call it the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, like how are we moving through the world?
Mhm.
Is it working for us? Is it leaving us completely disillusioned, upset, resentful, worn out, depleted?
Right.
All these things that you can call it balance, but almost like we're being taught what it is to really love ourselves and nurture ourselves.
Mhm.
And in the process of doing that, we can really savor and know who we are. Because sometimes I talk to women and men, what do you want? Who are you?
Mhm.
They don't really have a good answer. I'm an
Mhm.
attorney. I'm a lawyer.
Mhm.
A property, like they've identified so closely to what their job is, what their
Mhm.
role is, that they're not looking at who they are and why. What is it that makes them sing, makes them happy, makes them joyful, animates them? What is it that they're bringing into the world, like their gift? What is their purpose in this world? Like, so I know this is all deep because deep is kind of my middle name,
Uh-huh.
Josephine, but no, deep is I love savoring what's beautiful and rich and wonderful about who we are, the opportunities, and helping us like come out of our shells. Like, this is who I really am. Because sometimes, and I've seen this often, it's like asking for permission to be who we are. Is who I am good enough? Is who I am
Mhm.
smart enough? Is who I am pretty enough? Do I have something valuable to add to this mix? Does anybody care what I think? Or am I just supposed to like toe the line and continue on? So if we don't give ourselves that grace
Mhm.
and that priority, well, guess what? Nobody is going to give it to you. Like,
Yes.
if
Yeah.
you don't do
My
that.
question is, when I'm talking to a fairly new client, I'll say, okay, the weekend is coming up. Tell me what you're going to do for fun. And that question draws a blank stare because they don't know how to have fun because they have stopped playing long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's not unusual. It's
Mm.
the society paradigms, work, work,
Mhm.
work, work. You're rewarded
Mhm.
if you're working, right?
Mhm.
You have something good to say if you're taking care of somebody. If you're, yes, everyone's like giving you all kinds of, I don't want to say attention, but kudos. And it's so, you're such a good person. It's so, you're doing wonderful work. Like, as long as you're helping and serving, it seems like there's some value to that.
Mhm.
But the moment that you retreat for, I just want to do this for myself because I enjoy doing this, it's for me and nobody else.
Mhm.
Or I just don't want to think about work this weekend. Let's not do that. Like, if we have the option, I'm
Mhm.
sure many of us would love that, right? But society as a whole demands at times more than what we can deliver. And it's funny because if you go to Europe, they have a completely different
Oh,
way.
yes, yes.
Completely. They don't live for work. Work is
No.
second and third on the
Mhm.
list.
You have family?
Number one.
Mhm.
Family is number one. They'll have weddings, confirmations, baptism, birthday parties during the week, and even take the day off for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
And
culture, culture.
good food and good
Oh,
company.
hmm. I mean, and think
Long
about
lunches.
savor what that means. That means
Mhm.
that you're not striving all the time for work, work, work. Work is the
Mhm.
significance of my success,
Mhm.
and I need to work, and that's the grind that we do every day. They're living for a life that is full of joy and relationships and connection and celebration and food and wine, whatever you want to call it, that they're having
Mhm.
fun with.
Mhm.
Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yes, and they
Oh, you're a
don't.
little frozen. Oh,
Oh, I am. I
yes.
am.
Just came
You're
back.
okay.
Did I freeze too?
No, you got a little fuzzy though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who knows what the hurricane did to the internet? We're going to see.
Yeah.
But since we're podcasting, you know, it's just our voice. But we'll be on YouTube too. But anyway, so yes,
Woohoo!
that whole paradigm. Uh, if people have traveled to Europe, they're totally surprised that like the stores closed from 11:30 to 3 because people went home to have a really good lunch and have a nap. And then they open back up at 3 and they stay open until 10. And then they go have supper or dinner or whatever they call it. And they sit and like savor for hours talking about their day with each other.
Yeah.
And the cell phones are on the table, but nobody's looking at their cell phones while they're together. It's pretty amazing.
I got to
Now,
spend 3 weeks in Italy a couple years ago.
yes. Mm-hmm.
After I grew up there. I spent 5 years when I was young in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was everything about it, the environment,
Mm-hmm.
the feel of the space, it was like you're on vacation. You're hanging out. Like people are not in a hurry running down the road. Like everything
Right.
is at a different pace.
Right. No pressure.
No.
And when you look at the countries, like we're talking, a little bit about blue zones where people live longer and not only live longer, but are more vital until they pass. We're talking people who go into hundreds and still doing gardening. The blue zones are where they eat well, they take care of themselves, they have good relationships, they socialize. They have usually the church is the heart of the community. They do a lot of things with the church and also with socialization around that community.
Well,
And
when
there's
you
no
think
rush.
about it,
Nobody's rushing.
well-rounded, relaxing,
Mm-hmm.
living, right? You're
Yes.
living. So
Living,
living is more than thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You can't think your way to a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
You're a human being. You're feeling your way to a happy life. When you allow yourself to savor what your life is, you're feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just running through it. Let me just get to the next thing. And I get like everything is at lightning speeds now. We can do so many things and we want to do more things because we can snap our fingers and get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But can we get there? What do we look like once we're there?
Exactly.
And we do it that way. So it's, to me, eliminating negativity, drama, it's about awareness, right? It's about taking the time
Mm-hmm.
to know who you are and what you want, and then having some tools and some skills you've developed along the way, because you are navigating relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You are navigating in the world. So who's going to take the lead? Are you taking the lead, or are you following what somebody else sets up for you?
Mm-hmm.
You have I don't say every power, but you have the power to step back and away and do it your way. And let things kind of fall where they may. They may not stay. But, in today's age, probably a big skill is learning to say no. Just that in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And having some understanding of where's your yes and where is your no, and where is no way. Like, hell no, this is not happening. This is not where I'm going. This is not who's around me. This is not acceptable in my life, which I think, some of us have had really strong examples and mentors and mothers or fathers that set the stage for that. So we can recognize it, but other times, other people may think that certain behaviors are normal, where they're either self-sacrificing, manipulative, or self-serving things.
Guilt-ridden.
Yes.
Guilt is a huge motivator.
Oh my gosh! Like, yeah. I mean, and maybe as a young child or young adult, you didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, as a parent, you are setting the stage for your kids, for the people around you, and for yourself, really. How are you going to manage? Is this healthy for you? How do you restructure the relationship or eliminate the relationship entirely because it doesn't work? Creates too
Yes.
many things. Yeah.
Yes. And you bring up children, they're like sponges. They're creating their love map by watching you. Who am I going to marry? What will they be like? What will my family be like? That's a huge responsibility. They see you, they want to be like you, and so they'll emulate things that you're doing on so many different levels.
They do. And you know what? In all the training that I do and the things I've learned along the way, a parent, you set the stage. Like you can diffuse a situation, you can amplify a situation. Whether they recognize it or not, they're going to copy your behavior. Not what you say your behavior needs to be, but what your behavior actually is. They're going to emulate it. And, when the mom is happy, when you are like in a good place, it seems like everybody else is in a good place.
Right. If mama ain't happy, nobody is happy.
Oh, it's very true. That's very, very true. Because you set the stage. But then again, I have also seen where, you can give leeway to your kids and your understanding and you're working with their personalities. But there are kids do like boundaries. They do like rules. They will thrive if they know they're going to keep pushing the limits because that's what they do.
Yes. That's
So
your job.
yes. So, throw away the idea of, it could be a friend to your kids when they're grown up. When they're little, they need guidance and they may need rules because your job is to parent them.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit now. We were talking about feeling, but
Yeah.
what's our brain doing? How does our thoughts come into this equation?
Well, we are one unit of self. Like feeling, emotions are a type of a feeling, right? On an emotional level. Then there's the feelings that things are constantly in movement. Everything about us is in constant movement. So our thoughts impact our feelings. Our feelings can impact our thoughts. And our thoughts tend to be on automatic and sometimes completely unconscious to us. So if we have been raised to think something was bad, immediately we'll think it's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. I should be embarrassed or ashamed or hide that thing. And that will impact how we feel because we just labeled what
we do.
We labeled ourselves as something. I should be ashamed of this behavior. I should be angry with myself. The words that we say, my mother doesn't love me. I'm not worthy. I'm so dumb. Whatever these sentences are that often are imprinted. They're things we've heard. We get them back again. They're gonna, if those thoughts make you restrict or get you really you come in, you try to be, you're shrunken basically. You shrink. You're trying to hide, right? If they make you do that, they're not empowering thoughts.
Right.
They're hurting you, right?
Yes.
Thoughts are just thoughts. They're not concrete, but the thoughts, before anything can become concrete, you've got to think it. You know what I mean? So the more you think something, you think something negative, it becomes more concrete, more.
Yeah, a belief.
Yes. And that belief is now wants to be content, it will impact your choices going forward.
Because it becomes a filter.
Yeah, it's good word. Good word.
Filter.
Yep. It becomes how you live your life, like how you see life. I believe life is unfair. Everything you see, you process through that filter. Life is unfair. I believe life is really hard. Everything you see is really hard, right? So it's like, that saying, like, you don't really recognize the red Jeep until you buy a red Jeep, and you notice there now you see red Jeeps everywhere.
Yes.
Right? What is your brain honed in on seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Did you, is it a helpful to you, or is it causing a few kinks in your life? Right?
What's your food? What's your food for your brain? What are you giving your brain? And your brain says, "Oh, you are giving me this. I'll make more of this because you must like it."
Yeah. You know what? So much of being self-aware, self-conscious, watching and mindful of what you say, it's intentional. It's reflective.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, let me just go in there and do brain surgery on your brain so you can, like, I'm going to switch up some things in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
No, we can choose to change how we feel and how our thoughts work when we reflect upon that and use different tools. And the more you change the environment around you, the more you change your choices, you change the people. Like, things don't even become real to you anymore because there's no place for that. You're not going there. You're going over here.
Right.
Because every part of you wants this instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, so this just came to mind, like, if you're used to eating the standard American diet, right?
Yes, sad.
All you want, yes, all you want is the standard American diet,
mm-hmm.
right? Because it kind of feeds that's what you're used to having. Mm-hmm. The moment you switch it, and I'm not saying it's easy, because depending on how you do it, it can be very hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get yourself to love and enjoy that fruit. You can get yourself to love and enjoy this other thing. And you can get, that standard American diet item comes your way and you're like, oh, but I like this other side so much better. Mm-hmm. Let me just have some of that. So, it takes time to transition away, but it's a steady progression of changing your own mind and changing the way you see the world and the way you want the world to look like and how you feel in the world. Mm-hmm. So you're not just sitting on science and logic, you're looking at feeling as important, if not equally or more important than what your thinking mind is telling you. Mm-hmm. So now you can follow your intuitive side, your feminine side. Your gut. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Your gut reaction, your gut influence, your physiology that's created by that interaction.
Think about how intelligent the body is.
Oh, amazing.
Okay. We don't have not an iota of understanding of how complex and intelligent this vehicle is. It takes care of things I don't even know are happening while they're happening, right?
Right.
So your body, if you start listening to it and tuning in, will tell you if it isn't you need to pay attention though. What is it feeling? What is it telling you? And then that could be a source of information for you and guidance for you. Like, if I'm leaning toward, I've made decisions before based on my logical mind. And then the day would come, the day came, and I needed to go sign a contract. I could not physically get out the door to get in the car to go sign this contract. And I'm sitting there going, talk to my friend. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know. Like, I physically cannot do this. And it was me disregarding my intuition, because my mind and my intuition, my mind is so strong, it had overruled the intuition. It hadn't even asked. It just said, this is so easy and clear. We're just going to do this, as opposed to actually asking and listening to what it is that I wanted to do. That was best for me to do, not even best move, right?
Yeah. We have GPS, and what I call this IGS, or internal guidance system. Nice. And so when we listen to that, we make space for it to talk to us. We are in a place where we're quiet and just ask.
Okay. Receptive.
Yes.
Receptive. In order to receive anything,
Mhm.
you need to be quiet.
Yes. It's like
And
we're when we're praying, we're sending something up.
right.
When we're meditating, we're receiving something down. It's like this is like a two-way street going on here. No matter where that comes from. Sometimes it's our own. However we want to say it comes, it comes.
Well, think of it as, um, you know, I am a spiritual teacher on top of, and a healer on top of all of this message to the world. It's about looking at yourself in this lifetime. This is the temple. You are a spirit in your body using this body, and the body is chemical, and the body is energetic, and the body has all these needs and functions that it has, and it's honoring and listening and getting familiar with what that is instead of like taking for granted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I broke my ankle years ago, fluke accident. I didn't realize how important my ankle was.
Yes.
Like, until that moment where I could not use my ankle. I'm like, I cannot walk. I cannot. I'm like totally mystified as to, oh, how does this ankle work? This is pretty cool how this like, and it's
A lot
all
of bonds in there.
yes, I know. Who knew I had all that in me? Who knew that it would be able to withstand a surgery and come back around, and then the muscle, like, it's honoring like each phase. And I remember my mother at the time, she looked at me because I was 8 weeks on the couch, 8 weeks not being able to do much. I don't know how you're handling this so well. She looked at me because my mother doesn't stop, right? And I'm like, Mom, what do you want me to do? Like, I have no choice here. I am on this couch. I'm like, would you rather me be miserable or find a way to move through this happening because it's here, and do it in style and do it in a way that's healthy for me?
And maybe even speed up healing.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to give you another example that came with that breaking my ankle. So I was afraid. I had surgery. I was afraid of the pain I would feel in my ankle. So I didn't want to take codeine. I think I'm allergic to codeine. Last I checked, I was allergic. So I decided I'm going to take Advil. I'm just going to take Advil every 4 hours. And I was right on it. Well, my body started reacting very oddly. I started retaining water. I started having heart palpitations and went to the emergency room twice.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Tell me about it. So finally, the second time around, I'm like, oh, you're low on potassium. Okay, fine. I'll have some potassium. You need to have coffee or you need to move around. Okay, I'll do that. But I sat on the couch and I'm like, that's it. I don't know why I'm going to do this. I'm like, but I'm going to stop that I'm going to stop all my Advil because there's no way I could be this bit. Like, this is not necessarily good for me. And hopefully there's no pain, but if there is, I'll just deal with it. Like, I'm not going to keep taking a pill because I'm afraid of having pain. I'm going to test it out and see how much pain there is before I taking this.
Yes.
So lo and behold, the time came and went, a little discomfort, nothing much. Took away the Advil, continue to have it taken away, perfectly fine, no other episodes. 10, 15 years later, I find out, Michelle, you don't process medicines very well. I don't methylate them very well, break them down very well. So they don't leave my body very well.
And they build up.
And they build up. And I'm like, that's why things were getting worse instead of better. But, the lesson here is I was so afraid of the potential of pain. And I wasn't, if I tuned in or maybe tried to do things a little bit more natural, but I just didn't even want any iota of pain. Well, you can't forever be taking the pill. It is not healthy or good for you, it builds up.
Right. Yeah, it also causes leaky gut. All the NSAIDs. Yeah. So then we have another problem. We get inflammation in our bodies and we get sicker.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah,
sorry.
the body is just, when
complex.
You said, oh, it's complex, it's amazing, and literally every week, there is another discovery about how all the alien little critters around us and in us help us do so many things that we didn't even know about this 10 years ago. Nobody was talking about this. And tomorrow and the next day and 5 years from now, we'll look back and say, they didn't know very much about how their gut works or how their body worked. I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did.
Well, and it's taken me a long time. I didn't grow up knowing about the body.
Mm-hmm.
I learned I was an empath when I was 40. Like, you go through all these phases. You don't know what you don't know until the time is there. And all of a sudden, this becomes an important thing. Mm-hmm. So, educating, self-exploration, empowerment is about recognizing that we really are multifaceted people. And there are different tools and different ways to mitigate. There isn't one solution to anything. There are many different options.
What was it when you were 40 that actually sort of like gave you the inkling that there was a label on what you were experiencing?
Interesting. Well, I went through an experience that I could usually read people, not control people, but control my life. Do you know what I mean? Control. I felt like I had control over what was happening. I could see the lay of the land. But a scenario presented itself, and I could feel and sense, and more than I ever thought was possible. And on the back end, so I could feel. I rose up. I was amazingly happy, and then things came crashing down, and I went through a depression. And I'm like, how did I, the smartest person in the room, go through this situation? How did I not circumvent or protect myself in a better way? What was it? And I'm like, I could feel and I could sense, and I'm like, and I found, the first thing I found was sensitive with Judith Orloff. I found that first.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, I see the sensitive part. But then I found 30 traits of an empath. And I'm like, bingo. I said, why didn't I know this word before? Basically, an empath is a person who can sense and feel into the environment and other people at another level. Levels that are deeper than what's evident to other people, right? So if somebody is sad or angry, I know that they're sad or angry. I don't take their words personally. I can feel what's behind their action. Like, I don't judge them as quickly because I understand them. But also, when you're sensitive, you can absorb, you can be taken down by negativity because you are like a person that holds things up in a positive light. And when you're around negativity, it's a really heavy load to deal with, right? So you have to learn to manage yourself and your life in a way that takes care of you and your emotions. Like, it was the answer. It was like, for me, it was like, what's the word? It was so freeing to know this because I had always been an empath, always. But I didn't know there was a word for it. I didn't know.
You just thought that, like, and sometimes I think kids think like everybody thinks like I do. Everybody sees like I do. Everybody feels like I do.
No.
But when you get older, you realize, no, it's not true.
No. For a long time, so when I was in high school, I realized that when I would come home and I had to eat. And I actually ended up with an eating disorder at one point. And I had to move out of that. But the food helped me to feel better. Then I recognized, oh, geez, if I write before I go to bed, I feel better. I'm like, that worked. If I exercised, I felt better. But I had never put it to people before. In my 20s, I'm like, I am moody. Why am I so moody? Oh, it must be PMS. I'm like, it must be. And I was reading and I was digesting, trying to figure it out. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to have to just deal with it, right? Maybe I limit how much I do in a weekend so I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not having fun if I'm overwhelmed. So I learned to mitigate my life, to make my life around it. But it wasn't till in my 40s that I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, I really am sensitive. I really can feel that people come to me. People tell me their stories. Why are they telling me their stories? I had a psychic look at me once, and when I was in my depression, I went to see the psychic, and I picked her out specific. I'm like, this psychic is going to help bring light to this. And she did. She told me a ton. And then she started it with, she goes, you can't hide your light under that bushel, Michelle. Stop that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what bushel and what light? I'm like, somebody please turn on the light because I have no idea what you're talking about. But it has to do with who we are as a soul in this body. Are we here to bring more light to this planet? Are we here to help awaken and support and raise people up so we're not so muddled with guilt, shame, trauma, right? Negativity, drama. How many things are there, right? And then I looked around and I'm like, oh my gosh. And there's so many people that are having mental health issues. I'm like, a lot of them are empaths. They don't know that.
Right.
It's not like there's a neon sign saying you're an empath. You are just picking up what's around you and not able to distinguish that from your own thoughts and emotions. And then
they get stuck on you.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So, the lesson here is to empower, to awaken, to support so that, your life has grown exponentially to the next level of who you are and what you share with the people that are after you, right?
Yes, and what you receive, what your ability to receive gets lifted up as well. When you can be in a more purer state, where all the other stuff just kind of like just floats away on the river, and you're there, and you can get more coming from whatever source you connect with. It's available to you anytime.
Well, it is available anytime. One of my clients, he was, guys are not raised to be sensitive. He was really had to survive a tough situation, and he was sensitive. So he did survive. He did manage. But how did he do that? He did that by creating walls. Armor, walls, but the walls didn't allow, he suffered with massive depression, chronic depression. And he would go into these drinking spills to just kind of get himself back up again because things were off, right? But the walls protected him from the negativity, but it also limited his access to the light. There were walls all around him, and he only put the walls there to survive, right? But there comes a time when those walls were actually hurting him.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very painful sometimes too to let some of those walls crumble a little bit, because then you start to see both sides and what you've been missing.
You start to feel.
Yes.
To feel the things that you kind of held in. Because so the walls are there to stop you from feeling, right? But it doesn't mean that, there was a wound there to begin. That's why you stop. So once you start making it kind of come apart, you start feeling what was there, what was hurt to begin with.
Yeah, it's very powerful work. And I think you have a course, but it's more interactive. It's you speaking live with
Yes,
people
yes.
who are
I
going.
I'm speaking to my audience, which is the deep thinkers, the sensitives, the feelers, the seekers, the empath. That's my audience. The people who just want to get moved beyond the negativity and the drama. They're tired of it, right? It's running over 4 days at the end of July 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 27th. It's live with me. And then there's some questions. There's an extended question and answer session afterwards if you want that as well. But the point is to bring as much knowledge to the table, as much for those that follow me, so that you can change your life. This is what it looks like. This is why it's here. This is what you need to know. And then, from there, people want to, because it's not a light switch, right? It takes time to shift. If people want to move beyond that, I have a 4-month course, and I'll be doing that 4-month course yearly. So, reach out to me. If this one doesn't work, another one might work for you. But it's about systematically shifting the way we think so we can impact the way we feel. We can lighten the load and really channel more of our true self into the world.
Yes.
Honor what that is instead of rummaging past it, ignoring it, dumbing it down, avoiding it. So
I sort of use the sort of peeling the onion kind of thing.
Yes.
You just take the chaff off, and then the first layer comes off, and you feel like, yay, whoopee, I got a layer off. And then you say, like a few months later, oh my gosh, there's other stuff down there I didn't even know about. I can kind of see it, but I haven't done any peeling yet. And so you help with the peeling, so it's gently done. And and people can feel more and see more.
Can feel more in touch with who they are, trust more who they are, where they're going, where their value is, and manage this gift that they have.
Yes.
Like, recognize it, see it, like it's for you.
How I see that there's a website underneath your name.
Yeah.
Now, is this where people would go? empathevolution.com/launch/2024. Is this where they would go to take a look at this with you?
Yes, this is a free intensive. The launch-2024 is the 4 days. It's less than 4 hours total, but it's over 4 days of training, and it's free at the end of this month. And then the program will be unveiled at the end of that for people to see. Or you can just go to empathevolution.com and set up a time to speak with me, contact me, and I'll tell you more about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's plenty of people, I'm sure, online today who are feeling that sort of negativity and are wondering, like, am I just a negative person, or am I picking up all the other stuff in the world? And basically what's going on. And so this would be a good way for them to kind of figure it out, in a very safe, nurturing environment. From somebody who's not going to tell them, hey, you're just too darn sensitive. Why don't you stop it?
It's true. It's so true. That is so
what they heard when they were growing up, right?
There's a lot of people that really get it. And that's what you get back. You're too sensitive. Stop taking this personal. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's just got to do with the fact that you can sense what's happening. You are more porous. The environment matters. And that matters for you. Otherwise, your quality of life is impacted by that.
Absolutely. Oh, we could sit and talk for hours, literally, over so many things. This has been a great little slice of your wonderful range of background and intellect, and it's been delightful for me to be able to sit with you and hear about your program and all the good you do in the world, because we need more of you everywhere.
Thank you, Sally.
So it's been so wonderful, and thank you so much for being here. Please look at the show notes. All the things about how to contact Michelle will be in the show notes, and some of her bio. And you can find them in every podcast. Just about, there are in 7 podcasts, and in a little bit, this will also be on YouTube as well, so you can actually see us if you want to do that. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful. And thank you so much, all the people who are listening out there. Please get in touch with Michelle if you have any inkling that you might be one of those too sensitive people, and join the club. So aloha, and thank you for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.